please welcome Emily.
Warm. So I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio in the States, and I grew up going to baseball games with my dad, my brother and sister, and we would do this thing called the wave. So I just thought maybe we should, if you haven't moved already, we'll just get a little wave going, and I'm going to inspire us with music. So when I point, we're just going to, if you know, go, and if you don't, follow along. So dun 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 dun. Yay! That was good. That was good. So I'm Emily Niehaus, and I'm the founder and executive director of Community Rebuilds. And I'm going to talk about the program for about 10 or 15 minutes and show some pictures of stuff that we've done. And then I want to have a conversation about affordability and education, about straw bale construction. But I like to say that I know a thing or two about building homes that are dirt cheap. So our mission is to build well, it's a good thing I memorized. Build energy efficient housing, provide education on sustainability, and improve the housing conditions of the workforce through an affordable program. So essentially we're partnering low and very low income families with a dedicated group of student interns and apprentices and a group of builders to build affordable housing.
We get the light off of the screen.
It's the door.
No, it's a light.
Don't close the door. Should we? I mean, it's not all that pretty. When we get to the pretty pictures, we might have to sweat for a minute. But I just wanted to tell you the history about community rebuilds. So I'm not a builder, and I didn't, don't even worry about it. I didn't get into building straw bale homes from the architectural side or engineering side or building side. I got into it because I did a play with this guy, Johnny Kiffmeyer, who's an earth bag builder, and I was looking for a solution to affordable housing in Moab, Utah. And I said, you're building with like bags of dirt, that's got to be like the cheapest house. And he said, well, no, because there aren't a lot of people that know how to build natural buildings, and those that do, they can charge more because there's, some demand and not a lot of labor supply. So, I really wanted to learn natural building, so I looked at all of the opportunities for me, almost 2-inch female, in her 20s then, with not a whole lot of money in my pocket. And other than the workshop model or, joining a crew, which would be really hard to get hired, like Barbara was talking about, there really wasn't an opportunity for me. And so I thought, well, maybe I can create this opportunity for others to learn about natural building and solve for affordable housing in my community. So I kind of conceived of the idea. It was 2004. We didn't actually build our first home in 2010, so it took a while to get things going. But then once we did, we built our first home in 2010, the student group of 7. I wanted to do it in 4 months. It took 8. But we built our first home. We learned a lot. I had my son. It was complicated. But then, in 2011 in the spring, we thought about it. I tried to build another one. It kind of fell through. I had recruited a group of students. I had to call them all and say, oh, we can't do this. And then they said, 4 of them said, well, we want to come and help anyway. And so they came, and we did some grant writing and fundraising, and were able to build the second in 2011. And kind of took off. And so by the end of last year, my organization built 15 homes through our model in 3 different communities in Moab, in Gunnison, Colorado, and also on the Hopi Reservation in Arizona. And so by the end of this year, we'll have built 24 straw bale homes through a student education program, which it makes me tired. I'm just kind of sweaty right now, even thinking about it. So, you know, what Community Rebuilds is trying to show is that straw bale can be scalable, which means we can build more. And it doesn't have to be a dedicated group like I, you know, look to our millennials or 20-year-olds. Other communities might look to recently released from prison or different groups that have a lot of time and labor and need to be included in community building. It's replicable because now I've built a series of homes in Moab, Utah, which is kind of like rural suburban. We've built in Gunnison. We're going to be, you know, building something fancier in Crested Butte this summer, and also on the Hopi Reservation. So different demographic profile, and oh well, there was one other, wasn't there? And sustainable. I mean, we know. Straw. And this is how it works for us. So we do a foundation to finish program. So our students come to us, we break ground, they stay until the completion, we put the key in the door, we have a big party, we cry, say goodbye, and then we move on to the next semester where we welcome our students, break ground, and we keep the ball rolling. And it's this resource that is more exciting to me than just straw or clay plasters. They have a need, just like my community had a need for affordable housing. So they had the need to be a part of something where they were going to feel like they were solving a problem, where their young bodies could be busy, where they could be honored and respected, and they could exchange what they had to offer, their labor, for what we had to offer, a foundation to finish program. So straw bale walls, all of our projects are straw bale. Adobe floor, all of our homes have adobe floors. We're actually moving away from radiant, but we're refusing natural gas and refusing in-floor heating because we're putting on solar panels and we're building such small homes, passive solar, PV. We simply don't need the in-floor heat anymore. The other cool thing about this slide is that 50% of our program participants are females by design. So we do a gender balance. Also, we're seeing a really cool thing happen. Transgender, queer, and gender neutral is becoming part of the conversation, which is so exciting. Really making building accessible and welcoming to anyone. Plastering. We do Cadillac showers, which in Moab and Colorado, and Utah, Colorado, and on reservation, it's kind of a high-end finish to do a Cadillac bathroom. So I've been criticized, like, you're doing Cadillac for low-income families. And I say, I know, isn't that exciting? They're like, that's pretty special. And I say, I know, it's cool. So it's kind of flipping, you know, by doing natural building, we're trying to build something so cool that, like, moderate income can be jealous, and we can kind of help, you know, move it through that way. Yes. So, at the end of last year, 15 homes and 150 students. And we've got a few projects going. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. So, let's see. So this is our Moab home, so PV. In the northern hemisphere, super enslaved. Here's an interior of a finished home. So you can see adobe floor, earth and plaster, simple but really beautiful. And then here it is in the winter, lots of sun. The Moab floor plan, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, really simple, boring rectangle, replicable, scalable. Then we built one in Gunnison in 2013. The difference was that we added a mud room on the back because it's so cold and snowy. So we, adjusted our model to fit that community. This coming summer, actually starting May 9th, we're going to be building this 3-story duplex on this lot right here through a partnership with the town of Mount Crested Butte. They worked with a developer to do a development, and they set aside roughly 12 lots for workforce essential housing. And so they set aside those lots. I asked if we could partner and build with families on one of the duplex lots, and they provided the lot to us at no cost, which is pretty cool because we talked about the cost of land being prohibitive for low-income families. It's a fancy subdivision, and so in order for us to make the money work, that made it possible for us, and everybody's really excited. So we'll see. Stay tuned on this one. And then we finished this home last fall on Hopi Reservation. It actually has an attached greenhouse, and this room here is just missing the glass. This was like days before the open house when everyone was running around like, we missed it, the open house is coming out, so that was that moment. Traum wall and super beautiful, energy efficient home. And then this was a picture from their student group. So it's funny because this morning we saw a slide like this, and it was like, oh yeah, students, free labor. Good thing we had them. And I show this slide because it's like, hey, we have millennials that want to carry logs. And the reason why they want to carry them is they want to be a part of something. They want to learn natural building. So it's exciting for me to think about, like, not just, oh, we have young backs and bodies to do this work, but we have somebody that wants to learn and be engaged in an exchange. So there they are, 20-year-olds on the Hopi Reservation. And there's an interior shot of that home. We quarried the stones. It's a traditional style of building for the Hopi people. So instead of doing all straw, we kind of blended the two together, keeping alive the skill of stone quarry. And we did this not by being the organization that says, we can help you. Here you go. See you later. Instead, it was like, who down there, is interested? Let's partner. We'll share our success with Moab. I'm a great grant writer. It's like one really good thing I do. That and be a mom. But I was like, we can work together on fundraising. I'll share the model, and then we'll be each other's partners. And so that's how this project has worked and will continue to work. We're under construction with another one right now. This was the floor plan for that home that you just saw. So 4-bedroom, 1-bathroom, kitchen, living room, greenhouse. Oh no. This is what we're building now. It's going to be so easy. No, it's going to be a 3-bedroom. So it's a smaller version of that home. And then we're also looking to partner with a group on Navajo Reservation as well. So different models, still straw bale, still the student education program. And it's exciting to see that other communities are interested and excited about this simple model that I created to just solve for affordability in my own community. And it's so exciting, that moment where you give them the key and you're like, bring lights up so that we don't fall asleep on me. And what I really would like to do is open up to have a conversation, whether it's about my program, if you have questions, or just in general, about affordability and about education. Because, you know, what I find to be most exciting for me is not, you know, the engineering and architecture that's behind what we build, but it really is the process. And I get asked, you know, when I present afterward, like, oh, I wish, you know, can you tell me more about this? Or, so this is what I'd like to do for the rest of the time, if that's okay?
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Because I've got the mic.
No, men, I will not do the work.
She will do the worm later on, I'm sure. If everyone asks her and gives her enough drink, she will.
It's a dance move.
It's pretty cool.
It's a pretty cool dance move.
Yeah.
Think like, oh no,
Think
we're
like a
gonna do the
worm.
worm. We're gonna do the worm.
Emily, I think that what would be really interesting to talk about too is how these projects are financed. Because you talk about, yeah, how do the people get to pay for their land and their houses?
So, the way that we started in Moab and the way that we've replicated this model is simply, complex but simply, that we have separated our budget between the cost to build, which is materials, and the cost of our student education program, which is our builders, and then under them are paid apprentices who were rock star interns that want to be builders, and then our interns, our student interns. And so the budget for building a home, the sticks and bricks, we've been able to build it $60 a square foot in Moab, and then we add solar PV. The budget side of the organization is like cost of paying an instructor, the staff, the insurance, the solicitation permit that you have to get in the state of Utah, all the other things, the food. We provide our students with $100 a month food stipend. We provide them with a place to live. All of those costs are under an education umbrella. And so I fundraise for paying the cost of that student education program. Because it's a school, and I'm teaching. I don't ever take money from students. The only thing I really take from students is like when they make me a drink. Thanks. And I don't take money from the families. And that has been a clear distinction that I have had ever since I started. I'm building affordable housing. I'm not going to put the extra cost of the student education program on the student or on the family. And it's a student education program. And we know that education is, you know, hard to pay for. And a lot of the students that come to my program have a bunch of student loans, and they're trying to figure it out. And they're in between college and, holy shit, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And they need an experience, and they need to have a safe place to sleep and some food, you know, basic needs met, so that they can thrive, and they can learn, and they can figure it out. And so that's what we do with the program. That's how we do it. The funding for the student education program, private foundation money, federal money, and local donations. Those are the primary funding sources for that. The cost to build a home, that is on the family. So all of my families that I work with take out a modest mortgage to pay for the cost of construction. And on Hopi Reservation, it's so complicated. Land is, that's a whole conversation, not for right now. But the access to financing has been the #1 reason why housing hasn't been built on reservation. And so I had this idea, well, I wish we just had the money ourselves to lend, and I asked somebody, could I have money to turn into a revolving loan fund? And that person said yes, and so we actually just closed our first loan for the project on Hopi Reservation this spring, and which is exciting because we're not holding the property as collateral. We're actually, my phrase is character as collateral. So the application for the family is pretty thick, and they have to do like resumes and letters of reference. But what I'm trying to build is a fabric of financial support and honoring character and going from there, as opposed to holding the property collateral on reservation.
Yeah, thank you. First, I really like the approach you take and to help like the poor families in getting home. You said all your projects so far they were just on rural areas or rather rural areas. Do you think this approach can be taken into urban areas as well?
Totally.
So that you,
Yeah.
is there any that people ask you already about doing this in urban settings, or?
I think it's totally replicable in urban areas. And it's funny because I've been doing some flying. And, you know, as I fly over towns, it's like there's this group of clustered vertical buildings and then everything else is sort of out, you know? And we say in America, oh, well, you know, 50% is urbanized. Well, that statistic is misleading because really what we're talking about is like this 20% super urban vertical steel and concrete. Then we've got like sprawlish, 3 and 4 stories maybe. Totally possible through a student education program or through Bale. And then you have rural, again, totally, obviously doable. And so I think, you know, so rural is like, you know, if you're talking 50%, and, you know, there's this like missing 30%, at least in the States for us, that, you know, we kind of just say, oh no, it wouldn't work there, but I think it would. The thing that I would have to change with my program is that I would have to look for a different funding partner. So the federal grant that I received to pay my instructors is through USDA Rural Development. I would just need to look to HUD. And HUD has a very similar program with a similar funding stream. And I really do hope that one of my students will be so inspired to be able to replicate it in a place like Detroit or Flint or, you know, places that are more urban that have empty lots and need info.
Sorry, my question is, from a building industry perspective, we see the natural building, I guess, environmental group giving different definitions of what an intern and an apprentice is than what mainstream is. So I'd just like to hear what the definition is that your group put on those roles.
So my organization, we label our student interns as those that come. They do not pay, they are not paid. We provide them housing and a food stipend. Then the next level is apprentice. They are paid at what in the States are federal minimum wage. And they're the interns that have gone through 1 or 2 semesters that want to be builders. So they're really partnered with then our lead builder, instructor, foreman, construction supervisor. I don't know what you would call, we call them our lead builder, pretty much. And so I know that, you know, that's a question, and people say, oh yeah, well, you know, get interns, free labor, yeah, whatever. But, you know, we're really clear with our timeline, and we're really clear with our expectations with our interns, our student interns. We're really clear that this is not, you know, a workshop, that this is a home that is going to be an affordable home for a family that you are going to be partnered with and you are going to be building with. And so we have very clear boundaries and very clear expectations in our families and our student interns. So there is a tight bond, which is their exchange of labor for education, affordable home for partnership with these student interns. But then apprentice, paid, and then and builder paid.
I'm really interested in working with students also. In fact, I do a lot of local food work with a local university with internships, but that's really tied to that specific university and with the professor, and they get credit for that. So it sounds like your model is slightly different. Are they still in school? How do you?
We're like rugged. That's what one of my students called us. We're rugged. And basically what that means is that we're not directly tied to a university, but we get some perks. So all of my students can actually get credit through a local university. Even in Colorado and on Hopi Reservation, Utah State University will actually provide credits to my students at a recording fee of $30 a credit hour. So they can actually get a full semester of credits by participating in my program. I have a master's degree, so I'm the instructor on record. But I actually, I'm not very often on the job site, and they're okay with that. So it's like, they know that we're rugged. They like that because it doesn't drain their resources. So that might be something that you could look to. The reason why I didn't tie with like a Habitat for Humanity, and the reason why I didn't tie with the university, and the reason why I didn't really align myself with any formal group was because, so a friend of mine says, it's like the tail wagging the dog. Like I didn't want to be told, how I needed to spend the money or what I could or couldn't do, and I wanted to see if this idea worked, and with the student education program. And so I kind of kept it rugged. But, within our, not fitting into the conventional, we are still very disciplined and have, specific boundaries within our organization. Hi.
So what type of process do the homeowners have to go through to get one of the homes? And are they involved in the construction process at all?
So they have to go through a totally significant process. They have to apply and get approved for the mortgage loan, which is actually a big process, especially when you're working with low and very low income families. Sometimes their income comes from 2 or 3 different sources. Sometimes, like in the case of Moab, Utah, or Crested View, Colorado, it's tourism-based, and so it's seasonal work that's very difficult. On Hopi Reservation, basket weaver has a very difficult time qualifying for a loan. So once the family actually qualifies for the loan and gets their financing together, which we assist them every step of that process, we close the loan, the students arrive, and that family is partnered with their student group, and they are there working as much as they can. I mean, they have full-time jobs. And so what we do is partner them together, and we partner them with other families that we're building with. So if they miss a piece of their build, they can work with the other family. We require hours of participation, but they fulfill them. Because it's so exciting, you get to build your own home. So the families do contribute a lot, and we've gotten better at tracking it because we want to keep our grant funds going. That's a thing that we encourage and support.
Can you just give us an idea what this is costing the family, and because the exchange rate might not make sense, what that same house would cost, like on the open market if it were to be built?
Okay.
Because the idea of affordable is just a little bit vague without
Affordable is
comparison.
totally vague. It is so totally vague. And it depends on the community that you're talking about. Like in Moab, where we started, land cost is super high. But to answer your question, in Moab, we're building at $60 a square foot. So in New Zealand, for every
600 a square metre?
Yeah, 640.
What does it cost that your standard house that we have?
So if we were to put it on the market, like if a contractor were to build it and not subsidize labor, it would be at least twice as much. So I have a contractor that's willing to build one of our homes at $170 a square foot. So, twice as much.
So how much is the total cost of one of those houses?
I don't know where that came from.
Ah,
Oh, there you are. Sorry.
so
I'm
what?
really, it's hotter up here.
I know, I think there's a door at the back we can open. That's what I remember. No, just more an idea of the total cost of the house. So,
Total cost of the house. Well, you know, when you, I guess, you know, for any of you that are, you know, looking at build budgets, you've got, you know, your labor line item, or maybe you fill it in. So I guess the question for me is that, you know, whatever the material cost is, you know, that's going to be the cost of construction. So we're buying, you know, like, we're sifting local, you know, sand, reject sand to do a lot of our plasters in Moab. We're harvesting clay. We've got an incredible farmer, I mean, handsome, cowboy hat with a vest, and just and it's like, he loves us. He almost came, actually, to the conference. I mean, like a total partner is, you know, doing straw for the other builds as well. And, I guess, here's the thing. Affordability in America is defined by your income level through the housing, Department of Housing and Urban Development. So anybody that's 80% or below the area median income of a community is considered a low-income family. And then it's also adjusted by number of people in the household. So it's actually really complicated in the States. I don't know how it works in other countries, but you know, I think in general, affordability is, if you're living and working in a community, is your income enough to support you living there? And if it is not, then you have a lack of affordable housing, right?
Yes, to put it in perspective, in Auckland, an affordable house is about $650,000.
Wow.
According to the government's image of an affordable house. So we're kind of out to lunch here.
Huh. Well, and let me just say this too, because I think housing has become less affordable because we're buying so much manufactured shit. Like if we were to actually pull that together and build on site, like yeah, you have more labor costs, but if we're looking at true costs, I mean, if we were to shift back to building together on site, and not just the community rebuilds way, because obviously, you know, students and not paying them isn't like the forever plan. I hope to go out of business. I'm a nonprofit, that's what we do. We try to solve a problem and then close our doors. But I think that there's an answer to building on site and refusing manufacture and making manufacturing of products pay true costs and pay fair wages for the people manufacturing.
Emily, I'm so in awe of what you're doing. It's fantastic. Just talking about affordable housing, because that's one of the things that we aim to do. Our government says that an affordable house is 20% less than the cost of the average house price in the area, which to my mind is nothing that's affordable for most ordinary people. That's just ridiculous. We're able to get our self-builders to build a house for £650 a square metre, which translates at about 65